Hey guys, welcome to CounterSpin. I was going to talk about government-sponsored news this week, but after recent issues with YouTube censorship and demonetization, corporations backing out of Google Adsense, and 60 Minutes pushing the fake news talking point again, I feel like there's something else that I need to talk about. And that is the takeover of independent media channels, kind of like the one you're watching right now, but I'm obviously referring to the much more successful ones. We're seeing large media conglomerates threatened by their competition online, and that's for a good reason. Independent media is obliterating them. They're losing their influence and power over our collective thought and behavior, and they openly admit that.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
More traction on Twitter than 60 Minutes is. Who is consuming fake news? A lot of people, millions of people on both the left and the right, and giving legitimate news organizations a run for their money.
A guy with a laptop, a $60 microphone, an iPhone, and an internet connection is having more influence than the networks with multi-million-dollar studios. And no matter how many fake Twitter followers they have, they can't hide it anymore. Just look at CNN anchor Chris Cuomo's Twitter account. He has almost no engagement relative to his following of 1.2 million people. Meanwhile, the independent media YouTube analyst and conspiracy theorist Mark Dice has a small fraction of Cuomo's following, yet his engagement is off the charts. And take a look at Anderson Cooper's Twitter following, 9.23 million followers. And Dice is still having better engagement on posts that are less than a day old, compared to the week-old posts by Cooper. The facade of influence the corporate media has is falling apart, and that could explain their erratic behavior and flagrantly disingenuous reporting we have seen from them lately. They're running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Last week's Talking Points video showed you the control these mega corporations have over the information you receive. 6 corporations own over 90% of the media. Yet despite that dominance, they can't capture a well-informed audience online that are aware of their lies and deception. So now they're aggressively moving in to eliminate that competition by force, instead of just providing the truthful and unbiased content people want to watch. And they're using their favorite and oversaturated weapon: political correctness. The fake news talking point roughly started with Hillary claiming fake news is a serious threat and a danger to lives.
The epidemic of malicious fake news and false propaganda that flooded social media over the past year, it's now clear that so-called fake news can have real-world consequences. This isn't about politics or partisanship. Lives are at risk. Lives of ordinary people just trying to go about their days, to do their jobs.
This is coming from the person that was ready to attack Russia and start a nuclear war over unsubstantiated claims of Russia hacking into the DNC.
You've seen reports. Russia's hacked into a lot of things. China's hacked into a lot of things. Russia even hacked into the Democratic National Committee. Maybe even some state election systems. As president, I will make it clear that the United States will treat cyber attacks just like any other attack. We will be ready with serious political, economic, and military responses.
Frankly, the only danger this so-called fake news poses is complete destruction of their corporate-sponsored narrative that oftentimes we've seen is full of shit and costs the lives of countless people. Like all the times she supported wars over poor contrived intelligence, and the media just runs with it. If you want to see more about that, check out my Operation Mass Appeal video about the WMD lie that was even pushed by her husband, Bill Clinton. Also, let's take a look at when Hillary created her own fake news about landing under Bosnian sniper fire.
I remember landing under sniper fire. There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base.
Problem is, that's not what happened. And we should know, CBS News accompanied the First Lady and daughter Chelsea on that Bosnia trip.
The fake news talking point the media was trying to run with largely blew up in their face simply because they have an awful track record. Even though it died down for a little, it was resurrected again Sunday night during the 60-minute segment on fake news. They try to conflate blatant fake news, like The Onion and this weasel, with independent journalism like Mike Cernovich. And even though independent journalism has plenty of its own sensationalism and occasionally false information, it doesn't mean organizations like 60 Minutes should label them fake news. They're really no one to talk, especially when the former face of CBS News was caught disseminating fake news about former President Bush. You guys all remember Dan Rather? I mean, even completely disgraced journalist Brian Williams still has a job in media as an MSNBC anchor. The man was caught lying over 30 times. Now, all of this seems a little orchestrated, doesn't it? Hillary begins the fake news talking point after the election. Her surrogates throughout the media begin peddling that narrative. She even called for companies to support her fake news narrative. And now, large corporations are coincidentally pulling out of Google advertising because they're suddenly worried about their ads being put on hate speech or misrepresented information. Just this past week, hundreds of companies including Toyota, McDonald's, AT&T, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, and Kia have now all pulled out of Google Adsense. Last night, I wanted to conduct a little experiment and see which videos of mine would automatically be demonetized by Google's Adsense. I enabled monetization and woke up to find out that nearly half of them were demonetized, including my entire Red Scare series and the WMD video. What I find really funny here is that I only used mainstream sources, and I guess you can't talk about current events and provide your own analysis without having your revenue being cut. Do you guys feel like my Red Scare videos were fake or misrepresentative, violent, promoted hate speech, and or fake news? Let me know in the comments below. Even though this is mainly targeting alt-right videos and content that isn't at least slightly leaning left, the main motive here is to eliminate any and all competition that threatens the big six corporations that run media and the narrative their special interests want to push. For example, Philip DeFranco is probably the tamest current events commentator this platform has, and even his videos are being demonetized in droves. The Washington Times also unfairly targeted PewDiePie, who I think is the biggest YouTuber here with over 53 million subscribers. They categorized him as an anti-Semite and alt-right leader when he really wasn't. I mean, go look at what they were saying about him. It was the strangest hit piece I have ever seen, and the timing of it coincided perfectly with this fake news narrative. He is the biggest YouTuber and has far more influence on younger generations that they could ever dream of, with over 53 million subscribers. So targeting him makes sense. They even showed a picture of him pointing and said it was a Nazi salute. The whole PewDiePie takedown was incredibly bizarre. But within this context, it makes perfect sense. Between Google and Facebook and the big six media corporations, they practically have a monopoly on the information you receive. If they don't want something to trend, it won't. And I understand the fact that private companies can do this and it doesn't technically infringe on free speech, but you can argue that having this overwhelming amount of control over mass perception is a threat to our democracy and right of free expression, and it is a cause for concern whether it infringes on constitutional rights or not. I want to welcome all my new subscribers and thank everyone who has supported me so far. I want to promise you guys that my content will never be influenced by any sort of sponsor or corporate entity. My videos can be demonetized and not allowed to trend. That really won't matter to me. My message will stay true to our interests and not theirs. That is exactly what this channel is meant to promote. A space where information that goes beyond the mainstream is shared and discussed. If that's something you want to be a part of, then please subscribe for more videos that go beyond the mainstream.